Hello, and welcome to As Built, the podcast from Graphic Machine about architecture firms and buildings and how both get built. I'm Patience Jones, your co-host. With me is
Brian Jones,
your other co-host. Thank you for joining us today. Today, we are talking about lone wolf syndrome.
Sounds very dramatic.
It's very dramatic. Do you want to explain what lone wolf syndrome is?
Well, I mean, it's a pretty straightforward concept in a firm or a company. It's where one person believes that they are there to solve all of the problems, and they will do it alone and without any help from anyone, and they don't need that help.
And they're the only one that can do it.
Yeah.
The reason that we're talking about this today is, one of the reasons, is because I suffer from lone wolf syndrome, like horrifically, and have my entire life. It is very difficult for me to ask for help. It's very difficult for me to delegate. I believe, rightly or wrongly, that I'm the only person that can do XY task, or no one will do it up to my standards, or I can't depend on anybody. And, we can discuss another day underlying causes of all of that mental anguish. But for now, it's a real thing, and it often impacts leaders of firms, because the things that accompany lone wolf syndrome, like drive and resilience and determination, adaptability, those are the things that got you to where you are. And it can be very difficult to now embrace any other way of doing something, because this other way has proven to be quote unquote successful because it got you to where you are.
And everything else usually seems inefficient.
Yes. Inefficient, unreliable, slow. How many times do I say, it's just faster for me to do it? And it doesn't matter if that's true. What matters is that even fast, when you pile up a certain number of things, eventually there is no more time.
Yep, there's a limit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a really admirable trait, and then it becomes, it becomes hard to navigate through it, because it's through various points of my career, it has, you do it because you have to get through a particular moment. You have to see something through, you see it inside. This isn't unique to small companies. You see it in all sizes of companies. You see it many different types of roles. And it's where the person feels like they have to operate alone and outside of the team that surrounds them, and that's the challenge.
And it's interesting to me that you said it's an admirable trait, because I don't know that it is. I think it's probably neutral. I think that when you're developing as a professional, what you are able to achieve often as a lone wolf, you can often do more faster, because you're not working within a larger group. You're not waiting for anybody to finish their part of the project. You jump in to save people. You jump in to meet deadlines. And so everybody goes, oh, that's so great. That's wow, look at you. And you're so efficient and you're so responsible. And this is really great. But then over time, you become the logjam. You become the ceiling of potential for the firm, because you've not equipped anybody else to help you or do what you can do. And you are carrying a disproportionate burden, which means that if you are unavailable for any reason at all, the firm stops. So you go on vacation, you get sick, you decide you don't want to work there anymore, whatever it is. Now you've crippled the firm because of this supposedly admirable quality. So I think the effects of what it means to have lone wolf syndrome can be viewed as positive and admirable, but just as easily they can be viewed as detrimental.
I'd say that. I mean, I think from my perspective, it is hard to navigate around, because when you are in a lone wolf moment, or if you have an ongoing lone wolf capacity, changing that is hard, because the first step to doing that is saying, like, okay, who on my team can help me get over this next bubble or hurdle or task at hand? And I think that's the first question that has to get asked to start to break that down a little bit, is that how do you bring people into the fold when you have this, to help you break out of it a little bit?
And I even think, because I hear that and it is a necessary step, but I know for me, if I were to just like jump into that, it would give me hives. I think the very first step, as with any sort of recovery program, is admitting that you have a problem. And I mean that in all seriousness, like looking at your daily life, looking at your monthly life, your company, and saying, okay, I, I'm a bit of a lone wolf here and it's not serving me the way that it used to serve me. Then looking at every single thing that you do, everything, whether it's, opening the mail to, you know, meeting with project shareholders to just everything. And then going through that fairly ruthlessly and identifying, okay, with the proper training, what of these things could be given to somebody else? What are the things that really only I can do? And usually that list is much smaller than your original list of things that you're doing.
Yeah.
Clients who want to meet with you because they have relationships with you, yeah, you're going to need to keep doing that, but maybe start bringing other people to the meeting, so that if you do need to attend to something else, you can. You're also getting an additional. So if you are someone like me who has a tendency to lone wolf syndrome, how do you handle it? What do you do?
I think the first step is making sure that you have advisors that can help you start to put some structure in place for that. So that could come in the form of employees that you trust to give you advice to help guide whatever effort that you're up to. It could come in the form of, professional business coaches. It could come in the form of lots of different things from my perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I think the very, very first step is again recognizing that maybe this applies to you and you don't have to go into full on acceptance, but maybe just allowing for the possibility that this applies to you. And then identifying everything that you do. And maybe the next step is not identifying which of those things can be handed over to somebody, working with, like a business coach to you see where other people might be able to fit in. And I think the tendency can be, well, nobody can do this because nobody can do what I do. Well, no, they can't because you haven't trained them and brought them in and given them the information. So that there will be some training, assume that there will be some startup, assume that the person isn't going to know everything you know from day one, but that you can start to offload some things and that, and especially in terms of decision making, you start to rely on those advisors. You have blind spots like everybody. So maybe start to open up or say, I need help with this decision, or I need help with this project, or I need help figuring out a system to do the following things.
Yep.
It can be really hard. You can feel like you failed somehow. But as it has been pointed out to me many times, that asking for help is a sign of growth, that this is how you grow, and that asking for help is not a bad thing. And if you've had a bad experience before where you asked for help, okay, you had a bad experience. Don't let that keep you from asking for help for the rest of your life.
I like that. I think it's another thing I might add on top of that would be when you're looking at the things that you do, what is the thing that you are really good at? And make sure that you bring people in for the things that you either don't want to do or that you aren't really good at, so that
Mhm.
you are not handing over the thing that you love to do and are really great at, and that you start to round out your both advisors and team to complement you and not be a source of friction.
That is a mistake that I think is really easy to wade into, which is the thing that you most like doing is probably the thing that you also most like talking about. And it's the thing that's easiest for you to explain. So when you bring somebody on to help you, the tendency is to give them that thing because it's the easiest thing for you in your mind to offload. The problem with that is that now you're stuck with all the stuff that you don't like to do and aren't as good at. So you have to kind of flip that thinking a little bit. And to your point, look for people who have the skills that you don't. Look for people who know how to do things that you don't. Work with them so that they understand your process and the goal that you want. They don't have to do everything the way that you do it. They just have to get the goal that you are trying to achieve.
And as a any organization grows, it will outgrow the ability to completely put your arms around and to fully have all total control over. And so this is a very much an opportunity for growth and an opportunity for, new perspectives and different ways of accomplishing the same, problem.
And I know it doesn't feel like it, but you will be happier. You will be super nervous at first. You will have probably increased anxiety at first, and you'll be really tempted to just dive back into the ways that you used to do things. And it's okay if you want to carve out, one or two things that are always just going to be your thing. That's fine.
And from a professional standpoint, it can definitely, the training that you might have received might have prompted you to fall into this pattern. And so that may be something that you learn to make use of to grow again outside of that training into this new role that you're defining for yourself.
That's a really interesting point because the model for business schools historically has been group learning and group projects and group grades, and everything is done as part of a group or a committee. And from listening to previous episodes how much I hate that word. And now you know why. Committee, blah. But that is an advantage that people who have gone to business school have in this particular area. Because in architecture school and other kinds of programs, that is not the model. The model is you as an individual are responsible for your own project, your own grade, your own everything. Rarely would there be any sort of group project. And even if there was, you'd probably get graded individually. It may behoove you, if you're really struggling with this, to talk to somebody who has been through that program and who has been through that learning model, because they may have additional insights on how to incorporate it.
Get good advisors and get them early.
Yes. Yes. It is not a sign of weakness. It doesn't mean you failed. It doesn't mean you're deficient in any particular area. It means that you have an eye on a bigger picture that is bigger than yourself.
It's actually quite the contrary. It's a signal that you are ready to move on to the next things. And I think it's a really good thing.
Awesome. Well, this recovery, Lone Wolf in Recovery, is going to go, howl at the moon or something. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for not being a lone wolf in listening to this episode. And we will see you next time. Viewpoint, additional feedback, which can be helpful,